weiß Bescheid. Entiendo.
Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
They can tell us we're crazy, and we can say, well, you haven't seen anything yet. Everything you knew was a goddamn lie. Would you up and explode like it's the 4th of July? Possessed by perfection, in this land, if you're awake, you're the enemy. Where they lead, you will follow. Well, I guess that's just the way it goes. And if you look away, you'll be doing what they say. And if you look alive, you'll be singled out and tried. Every day a new deception. Pick the scene and take direction. And on a search to connect. But I don't wear a mask and I have no regret. Down on your knees, you don't look so tall. Open your eyes and the empire falls.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. How fun was that last interview? Time Cop 1983. Have you guys listened to his stuff? Man, I don't know what it is again, like I said, but he really, I don't know, there's just a mood. It just gets me somewhere that I like to be gotten, I suppose is the thing that I could be saying. I don't know. He was a lot of fun. I really do hope that he comes back through Toronto, Canada, because I would like to be at that show. And if you're in the area and he does come through, we will talk about it later on the show. Come down, show your support, meet me. It'll be fun. Shake hands and all that good stuff. Today, I would like to talk about all kinds of stuff. I don't really have a game plan in mind. There's just been some crazy things happening in the world. I'm sure that you guys are aware. And the funny thing too about that is I remember starting off like for a good block of time, it was like, oh, so something crazy happened. And now it's just kind of like, there's always something crazy going on. And do we even care? No, honestly, no. I can't fathom that we do care. And I know 2 or 3 years ago, we did care. And it's almost like they hit the accelerator where things were like, okay, and the news was kind of in the background. It was jibber jabber, yimmer yammer. And then they put their foot down on the gas pedal. And all of a sudden, everything is crazy. Like the weather report this morning in Toronto, Canada. We're going to get this 3,000 kilometer wide Arctic tundra blast. The heavens are going to open from above and God himself is going to piss down ice on the earth. Basically the article in the stupid paper. 20 years ago, that article would have said, and in other news, today's winter, dress accordingly. I look at this stuff and I think to myself, why on earth have they done this? And there's a lot of stories that I can tell myself, and there's a lot of things that maybe I see that other people don't, and maybe they're living in fear, and maybe everything's scary. I watched a news article today in Boston, that right on the news, I don't know, they said it was going down to like 35 degrees or something like that. And they were giving you pointers and tips on if your pipes freeze. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're in Boston right now, I can assure you that 24 hours at 0 degrees, if your pipes burst, you can sue the shit out of anyone that built your fucking house. Canada, we often go weeks and weeks and weeks at roughly minus 20, especially in Ottawa and Montreal. Weeks at minus 20, minus 40. And did you know minus 40 Fahrenheit and minus 40 Celsius, that's where they meet? So I can say minus 40, and I'm addressing both Fahrenheit and Celsius. And you know what didn't burst? Any of my pipes. So you watch this stuff and you think to the people that are like, oh, I've never experienced these such terrible cold temperatures. I'm like, but you have virtually every winter. But now guess what? Now you're not going to go out to the grocery store because you're afraid of your pipes bursting and the damage that it will cause and all the terrible things that'll come from the bursting of the pipes. All because I turned on the news. Now I'm afraid. Things I must be afraid of. This stuff irritates me. I don't know if you notice it. I try to inflect properly with my voice. It irritates me. It's annoying. Was that Peter Griffin? You know what grinds my gears, America? You. That's one of the best segments. But personally, I look at this stuff and I think to myself, how much more are we going to get? And the way I look at it is just fear, bombardment, slap, crash, bam, boom, crash, bam, slap, fear. Whoa. And it's like, is it good? Is it bad? Well, to somebody who's not waking up, it's terrifying. Everything's terrifying. Oh, God, if I don't wear a mask, I'm going to kill grandma. My pipes are going to burst if I leave the house. If I stay inside, I'll get rickets. There are some poor people out there that are absolutely terrified and don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to say about that. You know, I think it's an observational thing because you can look at this and go, well, I'm not going to live my life in fear. And the crazy thing is you have to be pushed into fear. So the fear itself and the dumbass narratives that they keep throwing down the pipe at us create a scenario and a situation where we're sitting there going, okay, am I going to pay attention to this enough, or am I going to say enough is enough? Am I going to have my levels of whatever raised to the point where I no longer need them to be raised? To the point where you say, oh, I get it. I see it now. I'm seeing the patterns that they're putting down. That's what happened to me. I look at this stuff now, and every single time I see anything that's on the news, the TV, literally anything on the TV, like it started off small where I couldn't watch this, I couldn't watch that, it was annoying. And now it's like all I see is a propaganda machine. And also, 2-3 years ago, I couldn't talk about that. I wasn't allowed to talk about that by my own standards, by my own rules, because I was unsure. And when you're unsure, you don't want to talk because you say things with aggressive tones or you make bold statements that are wrong. And what I mean by that is like you'll go to the extreme, or you'll actively and aggressively defend your point because you're basically fighting yourself and you're trying to understand and comprehend yourself in these scenarios. So to me now, as I sit here and I look at this stuff, I think to myself, every single thing that's happening is happening to wake us all up. How many times have you heard the words wake up in media everywhere? It's like there's an outside source completely outside of anything we've ever been allowed to understand that is constantly telling us to wake up. And the craziest thing in the world is no matter how much you think that you're waking up in this reality, in this realm, you're not waking up until you see it. And am I sitting here right now from the other side, coming back through and saying, hey, wake up, come through, come, wake up, come, wake up? Well, no, I'm not on the other side, unfortunately. I just see it. I can see the other side, right? But I don't quite know what I'm looking at. It's like looking across the lake with the morning mist coming up. You know it's the other side of the lake, but you don't know what's over there or what it is. It could be magical and mystical. It could be more of this. I was watching The Matrix the other day, And again, so Matrix 4, I've seen it a few times. I feel like I have to keep watching this movie because I firmly believe that inside this message, this world is this reality, Mr. Anderson, in which we live. There are tips, tricks, and pointers for us to find things. I think that essentially we live in the world's largest, we live in the world's largest escape room. And we're just piecing it all together right now. It's also why we're allowed to be aware of certain things and not aware of other things. You know, but when you start seeing things and when you really do start putting things together, there are things that you just can't unsee. Like, think about it. Think about taxation, for example. We just give away all this money for what? To prevent ourselves from going to jail? And nobody questions it, and everybody's afraid of it, and everybody's now afraid of everything that they've ever built to themselves so that they would have to then lose if they didn't pay their taxes. But if each and every one of us decided we're going to stand up and not do that, then it's like, hey, wait a minute. There's nobody to enforce this shit because the people that are enforcing it also have to pay their taxes. Hey, police officer, you drank the Kool-Aid a little bit more than a lot of other people, and now you're bullying the people for the bad guys. You realize that there's a lot of layers to this. And again, I say this stuff and maybe I sound crazy. Maybe I do. Maybe I am. But then again, maybe I'm not. And the greatest thing in the world is the ability to think about this and process this and be able to have an open mind and consider why. Why do I feel that you would think that I'm crazy? How do I even know that you exist? How do I physically, tangibly know that you exist other than I can see you? Well, you're inside this matrix. You're inside this thing either with me or for me. And what am I doing right now as you sit there enjoying your delicious cup of Earl Grey hot, listening to my soothing voice, get sometimes erratic? I should do like a whole voiceover thing, like just start voicing cartoons or like reading books. I've always thought that it'd be fun to do audiobooks and just like get into character, hop back and forth, do all kinds of voices. But I've never done it. So maybe that's on a bucket list. Maybe I'll just throw it on the bucket list of things to do. Back to the Matrix. We're talking about characters. And in the first Matrix, Neo, Mr. Anderson, Thomas Anderson. That's a funny thing too. In the first Matrix, he was Thomas Anderson. And Smith called him Mr. Anderson. And in this Matrix, he's Thomas Anderson, a.k.a. Neo. And the character playing Smith, or the Smith himself, who's evolved now, just calls him Tom. Tom, what are you doing? Go back to sleep, Tom. Take the blue pill, Tom. Granted, the movie was choppy, kind of not, fully formed, but, it's a piece of information. It's a tool. It's a thing for us to look at. And then you can do what you want with it. The fact that it's not complete is kind of a completion in and of itself. And I look at this and I think to myself, okay, back to him inside the Matrix and me outside watching the movie, and him inside the movie and me outside the movie, and him going from inside the Matrix in the movie to outside the Matrix in the movie, to me watching him go from inside to outside, understanding that every single time he opens up his eyes, he's just opening up his eyes. He's just creating a new perspective, which is very much the same thing that happens with quote unquote an awakening. And you passing through and you seeing things. You get pushed into these awakenings through pain. And I'm sure there's other ways to do it. But from my standpoint and from my personal experience, the only way to get there is through pain. I came through excruciating physical pain. From a year-long battle with sciatica to a few other things. I'd given up, again, all addictions. And I fought that at the same time. And then emotional pain and spiritual pain and self-doubt pain and living my essential life, the whole thing. Always being on the outside, always feeling not good enough, and always looking in and always at war with me. I was always in that pain. I lived my life one absolutely brutal moment to the next, and I masked it very well. And I said to myself that, I can't believe people live this way and all these things. You don't understand that other people are living things or having different experiences. Every single person that's on this planet and in this reality is having a different experience. It's a unique experience based on their experiences. It's the culmination of their experiences, which is how we all live in this place while individually having a totally different experience, which is why this one world is different to absolutely everybody. And what do you see? Everybody arguing and fighting to say that this is right and that's right and this is right and that's right. It's not true. Well, it is true, right? We can argue anything because anyone's point of view is right to them. They're arguing the right point. It's not like somebody's just coming up to you and being like, no, you're a fucking piece of shit. Even though that's how we're taught to argue, quote unquote. It's not like, hey, this is how I got to where I am. How did you get to where you are? It's like, no, you fucking ignorant prick. You're wrong. I'm right. My ego is bigger than yours. I have a louder voice. I can say whatever I want. And then what happens? Like, why even bother getting engaging in that sort of stuff? So you don't. So you elevate yourself and you step out of that realm in reality and you no longer argue with these entities and with these individuals. And if you're forced to stick around them, you're going to see them constantly nipping at you, coming back and fighting. And hey, remember me? I want to drag you back into my bullshit. Well, why? Why can't you step up? Why can't you just do something? But it's not up to them. It's up to you to witness who you are, where you are while you're watching this. And as you elevate yourself and as you elevate your game and you step into your purpose changes. So even when you hit your stride, there's more. It's becoming that person that nailed it or that failed that allows you to become the next version of yourself. And the next version of yourself is continuously growing. Again, remember this too. None of us know what death is. We've only experienced the passing or the dismissal of somebody we love. And we can say, well, I've experienced it. I watched it happen. Great. But you don't know what it is. You can extrapolate based on the information that you have. Where'd you get the information? You see, that's the thing. We want to point the finger and say the television's doing this terrible thing to us. But the truth is, it's not. It's not like there's this realm that's outside of this realm. The same thing that makes up the television and the person that could be like, out to get you. They come from the same magical pixie dust that you're made from. Right? The illusion. You're part of the illusion. You exist in this world to do the things that you're doing so other people can observe you and go, well, I don't know about that. We can sit here and talk about Hollywood, how Hollywood actors perpetuate a certain motion and notion, and they they're all part of this, and you see it. You see the finger over the eye, the finger over the mouth, the shush. We're not talking about stories and that sort of stuff. But I have Hollywood friends. Right? So my experience dictates that the entities that were supposed to be like, oh, goddamn, blah, 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 they're over there doing the same thing. Right? So now you think, okay, well, there's got to be gauges. There's got to be levels to it. You got to agree to stuff to get going on certain things in certain places. And if you're part of some sort of a bloodline, you're good. And if you're not, you're out. That's like there's like a handful of people that control all the media. And there's a handful of blue bloods that run inside the sports that control the certain things, referees, key players, key defensive players, quarterbacks, that sort of stuff. These guys are like the ultra. And then there's a bunch of guys that get paid top dollar to blow out their knees and legs and just sort of be a higher up pawn in the game. And they don't know, but they're running with these people. So you get to see all this stuff. You get to observe all this stuff. And yet we want to form our opinions and say this person did this and that person did that. And they didn't, right? But we just want to say that they did. We just want to feel that they did. We want to have that opinion. We want to have that self-righteousness until we wake up, until we ourselves do this. And this is the thing. All of the chaos that we see and all of the chaos that we live through and all of the chaos that we fight through is the shit that forms us, which is how I sit here right now with the ability to talk to you. And a lot of you have the desire to talk. And if you do, reach out to us. Book a call. You can head over to thementalmasteryalliance.com. If you want something to talk about, if you want to start a podcast, if you want to start a message, a meme, if you want to get going in any way, shape, or form, head over to thementalmasteryalliance.com. Follow the links. We're everywhere. I would drop them perfectly, but I'll tell you this right now. I am terrible at remembering to quote unquote self-promote. And the truth is, we're actually looking for 2 new clients. We want 2 new clients to work with us one-on-one. If that sounds like you, go over to coachingwithtmma.com. I'm pretty sure that's a link. If it's not the link, the Mental Mastery Alliance will have the drop-down link for that. But if you've ever had any thoughts about coaching with somebody or an idea or a blueprint in your mind, you're like, I want to have a business. I want to be online. I want to sell an idea. I want to be a coach myself. I want to push a narrative. I want to help the collective bargaining agreement wake up to everything. I just don't know where to get started. Give us a call, coachingwithtmma.com, or give us a call, even straight up, give us a call, 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. this stuff is fascinating. Again, I'm actually really bad at self-promotion, but it is 7:00 at night as I'm recording this, and I've probably had too many cups of coffee today, which is literally the last vice that I have yet to shake. And I will, and I'm aware of it, and I just haven't done it yet, and that's coffee. Or caffeine. I mean, I like hot beverages? I don't know. I could go on and on about that sort of stuff. But, so there we are. It's just something that you know that I have to get rid of. A vice, a thing. And that's literally what life is. Life is about understanding, life is meant to be lived. If you want to get biblical, God didn't put jet skis and cocaine here for us not to do it. I'm just going to put that out there. Oh, I should also probably slap this button now, too, that I've said that.
In the news. Now.
Yeah, again, that was the wrong button. It's been so long. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try this one.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
So what I was saying was, if these things are on this earth, it's meant for you to try and sample them. It's not meant for you to live there. Alan Watts talks about philosophy in such a way. He talks about mushrooms, using mushrooms, and it's so perfect. He says, mushrooms, much like a telephone, once you get the message, you hang up the phone. Right? So you don't need to keep doing mushrooms and living in that world. You need to go hunting. Right? And you hunt for the things that you like and the things that you don't like. Constantly hunting. You're like, I'm gonna adapt this and I'm gonna drop that. This idea that you have to be uncomfortable or in a situation or even in a relationship that you don't want to be in. Every single thing that you do in this world is a test. Everything that you do in this world is a test. It's going to test you on your ability to set your own boundaries, set your limitations, set everything that you want to set as you progress and as you move through this sort of stuff. That you're in pain is the hugest thing. So here's the other thing too. If you stay in your comfort zone too long, shit starts to suck. You start to feel pain. If you live on the fringes for too long, it's too sharp. You start to feel pain. And you have to keep moving forward. So picture yourself going down a wide tube. And if you bounce off the rails too long, it hurts. So if you go too far to the right, too far off center, it hurts. If you go too far to the left off center, it hurts. If you stay dead center and don't move, well, the track is moving. So it's going to come to you. It's going to bounce you into the left and into the right. There is no perfect life. There is merely perception of the life that you're currently living. And what comes next, we don't know. Why I tied all that in with the Matrix is Neo's having an experience in the Matrix. And then he wakes up. And he wakes up into the real world where they eat slop and everything's terrible. Ugh. But there's still conflict. So inside the Matrix, there's conflict. Who am I? What am I doing? This isn't right. And then outside the Matrix, there's conflict. Who are they? What are they doing? This isn't right. So theoretically, there would be an outside the Matrix moment, right? And then how high would that go? How high could that possibly go? You want to tap that in with the Quantumanium, the Ant-Man and all the superhero movies too. They're going infinite smallness. The entirety of Ant-Man Quantumanium takes place on like the pin of a head. Is that right? Did I say that right? The pin of a head? The head of a pin? Wee! Because infinite greatness and infinite smallness is a thing, right? And this is also stuff that we don't take into consideration. So all of the things that we fight for in this realm are something that we firmly, absolutely believe in. And everything that you firmly, absolutely believe in, that you cannot bend on or question, inevitably becomes a limiting belief and inevitably will cause pain. So all the things that you want to do, there are millionaires out there and there are people doing all this stuff. You want all the money? Go earn it. Figure out how to do it and earn it. Press some buttons on the keyboard and earn some cash. It's not hard to make a lot of money online. Not in today's day and age where nobody goes to work anymore. Making money online is simple. It's boring, but it's simple. Having a purpose, creating a message, getting your message out there, creating who you are in the process, that shit's fun. Right? But how do you do that without money? Well, you have to have money. So what does money exist for? Well, money exists primarily for control, to keep you afraid, to make sure you pay your taxes. Right? We sit here in this humdrum society, this matrix that we live in ourselves, and we say, oh, who's going to do that? Who's going to start this revolution? Who's going to start this? Who's going to start that? And it's up to you because the only person that ever really existed is you. So you want to learn how to do something, you learn how to do it. You step into it, you learn how to do it. What happens with most of the people out there, they sit on the couch and they bitch and they moan. Or they've got pink hair and they fight about stuff. No offense to anybody with pink hair that's doing cool things. But you'll see a lot of people you'll see a lot of specific people. You know exactly who I'm talking about. That person's inside your head when I say that. There's an image of somebody in your head who's doing nothing and ripping on anyone who's doing something. They're spending their time ripping on you. These are essentially bots. These are thought mongers, people that can't think for themselves, steal your ideas, steal your thunder, steal your passion. And then they go home or back in their box at the end of the day when they're done destroying the lives of people that are trying to get out of the matrix. They're intentional. These people, these Karens, these Chads, hacky sack players, they're intentional. They're here to keep you down. It's the same as the people in the past, in your life. When you decided to step up, there are people that you left behind. But remember, too, in your life, there are people that you grew through. The very people that say, man, you've changed, are the people that you once looked up to. They never moved, but you did. You constantly grew. You grew into them, you grew with them, and then you grew through them. And now those very people will reach up to you from the past and say, hey, what's your problem, bud? And then you're like, oh, fuck. Well, clearly you're up to something because I honestly haven't given you two thoughts. And that doesn't mean to be mean. It's just that here's my life. This is what I'm doing. And you're more than welcome to step up and come along and say, hey, that's really cool. What are you up to? I want to play. Right? But that's the thing. We've all got these ideas. We've all got these images. We've all got this thought process in our head. And we're all technically still kind of worried about what other people think. And the idea that you could think that other people are thinking anything is literally just you talking to yourself in a very clear tone. Oh, he thinks this, and this about me, which is just you thinking that he thinks that about you, which is just you telling yourself how you could possibly perceive yourself if you didn't give yourself the time of day and the desire to step into proper purpose. And people could say, well, what's my proper purpose? Who knows? But you do. You already know the things that you like, the things that you don't like, and where you could possibly go. What comes next? I have no idea. Right? There's no rhyme or reason to what comes next. You know, book a discovery call with somebody who's doing what you want to do. Call a friend. If you see somebody, if you see somebody on social media, online, somewhere doing something that you like, see if you can connect with them. Talk to them. See what they're all about. How did you get here? What are you doing? You know, what are your camera settings on this shot? That sort of shit. Just reach out to anybody. Ask them. To which some people will say, well, people don't reply to me. The bigger accounts don't, they don't reply. Well, the bigger accounts on Instagram, for example, we have so many inboxes that we can't see all the messages, right? Don't send one message, send 100 and make them cool. Make me laugh. Not me, but any creator. If you really want to be noticed, eventually they will see. Don't be fooled by the shiny lights. Don't be fooled by celebrity. Don't be fooled by this, that, and the other thing, because everybody gave up something to get to where they are. And a lot of people had to give up themselves, right? Look at all these celebrities that are miserable with where they are because they have to play by certain rules. They have to say certain things. They have to push certain narratives. And we think that we're supposed to be like that. We think that we're supposed to be politically correct and do this, that, and the other thing. But I'll tell you right now, it's cannibalizing itself. And whether you do something about it or not, it comes down to you. It really comes down to how you choose to perceive what you're perceiving. So no matter how many levels of the matrix that Neo wakes through, it's still him having an experience. Right? He's still experiencing something. So there's no difference between life or death. There's no difference between matrix and then outside the matrix. It's all just an experience. In any way, shape, or form, in any way, if you go infinite greatness, infinite smallness, it is all simply an experience. And it can't end. The experience is continuous. So when you do with that information what you do, you're listening to this right now and you're witnessing in your world, you're witnessing NPCs, you're witnessing bots, you're witnessing all this stuff online. You're witnessing nefarious, crazy things happening. But that's also happening in the real world because the bots and everything that's on the Instagram or in the computer, that's one layer. And then you pull out of the computer and this is our layer. And then you pull out of our layer and there's a layer above us. You pull out of that layer and there's a layer above that. But everybody at every layer thinks that they're the top dog. Because how could something possibly be above me? There's a fantastic movie called Floor 23. You should check that out. It's a B movie and never really went anywhere, but it's got an amazing message about a society that built a virtual reality with Sims everywhere that don't know they're Sims. And those Sims built another one. And that's really cool. Just the way they explained all that. It's really cool. So there's a Sim and a Sim and a Sim, which is probably where we are at this point in the game. Who knows? Who knows? Who cares? I've been rambling on now for about half an hour. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been sitting there listening to this for half an hour. And I've been talking really fast. I think that's hilarious because so many people I know listen to podcasts and they listen to audiobooks and they speed it all up. They always tell me, like, when I get to your podcast, when I listen to your shit, I got to slow it back down because you're already talking so fast. I think that's fun because I listen to everything so fast too that when I want to get information and it comes out fast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a guest on the show or if you want me to be on your show, head over to requesttoguest.com and click the button. Well, there's 2 buttons. You can click whether you want to be on the show or whether you want me to come on your show. And we go through the forums and we check them all out and all that sort of fun stuff. So yeah, it's not a guarantee, but it's worth a shot. A lot of fun. And I want to be on more shows. I want to come. I want to chat with you guys about what you're doing. Whether you got 2 followers or 100,000 followers, I want to hang out with you. Time accordingly, obviously. So yeah, there's so much to think about and there's so much more to think about. And there's so much, like, this is episode 245, ladies and gentlemen, 245. My numbers are still askew because of all the crap that Spotify and all those other ones pulled from us when we weren't self-hosting. And I didn't bother putting them back up because I'm like, I'm not going to fight the controversy. And that's another form of self-censorship, but it's also something that I grew through. You know, we want to grow. We want to have an impact. We want to be able to help people. And all we've got right now is word of mouth. And that's the best thing in the world. Like you right now, listen to this show and go, hey, you share with a friend. Hey, you got to listen to this show. This guy's nuts. It's crazy. But his voice is not offensive for the most part. And his message, although out there, resonates in a lot of terms. You sharing our show with other people is phenomenal. If you guys do want to leave a review, those help too. I think it's like just the iTunes reviews. Anyway, we don't have too many. I don't ask for them. And quite frankly, I'm having the time of my life recording this and watching the audience grow and being honored by all of you who connect with me, whether it's through email, through Facebook, through Instagram. Not so much Facebook. So sometimes Facebook. Facebook's kind of growing, but we don't really pay attention to it. It's kind of a piggyback off the Instagram. It's just been a fun run. Episode 245 just finished. So what's the next episode? 245. So 500. So 490. 490 were doubled up. I want to race to 490, but I also want to give good quality. So it's not going to be like a fast race. It's going to be like a street race, but like obeying the speed limit. Yeah, that'd be great. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a slice today in the infamous words of Red Green. And keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.